Good day, everybody.
Good day, everybody. Welcome to episode 20, a big episode because we have a surprise special guest. Welcome, Tess, to the podcast.
Hi, good day, everybody.
Yay!
I've been so excited to say that.
We're so happy to have Tess. Now, Tess, tell everybody why you're here, why we're meeting in Bali, Indonesia, and where you've come from.
Oh,
A
man.
little summary.
What a loaded question. Okay. So I've been traveling for about a month, and I usually get around a little bit of a break from work around this time, and I've just been traveling for a month, I guess. I don't know. So I just did 3.5 weeks in Vietnam, and I did the entire country.
Yeah, bottom to
Wonderful.
top.
Yeah, I did the south to north route, which is basically the best thing ever and what everyone recommends doing. And yeah, just kind of refreshing from reality and just kind of traveling around, meeting people, doing things, all of that.
And Tess was adamant about visiting us in Australia. However,
Yes.
because our road trip dates with Marshall, we had to kind of overlap
The
on
stars didn't
our
align,
little
Yeah.
Well, it
They
did
aligned
align
in Bali, yeah.
They did a land in Bali. So interesting too. So yeah, okay. So when I had a 6-week window to travel, it was a few days after you guys were going to leave. So there just was no way that I would be able to join on that road trip.
Yeah.
And then you guys had a Bali trip for your anniversary. And it's a little bit, it just was meeting halfway. But interesting, on my trip in Vietnam, I was getting told by everyone to do Bali next.
Yeah.
Separate from even saying anything about you guys.
You were
So it just
oh,
felt
I
right.
am.
Yeah. It just was man, Bali is just the place to be.
So we are happy to have Tess here.
And I think last week actually it's less than a week that we posted. It's only been about 4 days. We were coming up to Chello land, as some of you might know, Ubud. And we've been enjoying it so far. I think it's been a really cool place. Definitely, I've been enjoying it more than Nusa Penida. But yeah, this land is really cool.
Yeah, I really like Ubud. So yeah, that's where we headed. And then we checked into our Airbnb, which is super cool. It has a rice terrace view, good palm trees, a pool. The bottom floor is Tess's room. The top floor is our room. And it's been really nice here. And a funny story when we were checking in was the Airbnb host. Well, not that one. We have a few funny check-in stories. The Airbnb host is this Indonesian lady, and she was hustling us for renting our motor scooters from her and doing our laundry with her and taking tours with her if we wanted to. And she was a businesswoman, and she told us, she was oh, where are you from? And we said America, and she was oh yeah, that's the same as Europe and all that. And Kory was no, it's different. And she was oh yeah, but Europeans, Americans, Australians, they're all the same to me.
Yeah, so just a little bit of subtle racism coming from my local Indonesian woman. It's just us saying oh yeah.
You're from Thailand? That's the same as China, right?
Yeah.
Oh, because you're all the same to us. So we'd get canceled saying that, but we've had a few encounters just like that one. That just little. It's entertaining for us coming from a country where that is not okay to say to people.
Definitely, yeah. And some other things we did before Tess got here. We went up to the rice terraces. And this place was just it was really nice.
Kory hated it the whole time. I don't know. He was low vibration there. He was I don't get why people come here. And
yeah, it was just these dudes farming. They're just living their lives, and then on the other side of the farming field was these massive resorts that were built in infinity pools with nice bamboo. The place we went for breakfast was amazing and had a beautiful view of the people slaving away, working in the fields as the sun and rain beats down on them.
I honestly didn't see any workers, so you might be exaggerating.
Yeah, but that's just the premise of the whole rice terraces, is unless they're just doing it for those are just tourist rice terraces where they don't grow anything. But
well, it's funny because we went and we got there before 8 a.m. and we like walked around and we're like, okay, cool. And then there's like a bunch of these like photo op swings that people take artsy photos on, which is kind of silly because we asked how much it costed and it was $10 for the photo. And you like, sometimes people pay more to put on a flowy dress so it looks more like artistic in their Instagram post. But we got there before they even opened and we got to walk around it for free. And then we like, after we went to the cafe, we walked back over and they were like, entrance fee, like you need to pay an entrance fee to come down here, and we had already like done it.
But also, literally, right, they open at 8 a.m. and a bus of influencers walk out, and all in like long dresses, and I think half of them were French, maybe Russian.
I think they were Russian, and they like literally a tour bus, guys, a tour bus of people coming to take their Instagram pictures.
Because this is the area
exactly at the time they opened.
If you ever seen on Instagram of like just like a girl in a dress swinging over a field of rice, that's where this one comes from. So
I mean, it's artistic, but like I don't know, the concept of like paying so much money to like
take one picture,
it's kind of a facade.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of that here in Bali.
Yeah,
like that's something that before I came here I heard a lot, is that this is like a place for digital nomads and content creators. And
yes,
it's very touristy because it's becoming more and more well known.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, and like I think all the flights here are just I mean like they build up their airport and stuff because everyone's like, oh yeah, direct flight this, direct flight. You didn't have any direct flights from Vietnam, but from Australia they make it so easy to come here. But I feel like there hasn't been as many Australians here as I anticipated.
Yeah, I mean, I hear everything is kind of designed for them. Like, if you go to a cafe, it says toasties, smashed avo toast, and like things that they say and things that they eat. But I don't know. Maybe it's not their season.
Yeah. But the last two things we did before Tess got here was the rice terraces were like about an hour scooter ride north, and we wanted to hit a waterfall on the way back. And this waterfall just came packed with so many things. Like, the waterfall was pretty cool. It wasn't really that big or anything. But there was like a 250-meter carved cave that I think someone made. And then you just walk through it and explore. And,
yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah, it was a neat little place.
There's a little meditation room in it.
Yeah, and then we had like an hour to kill before Tess got here. So we went to get massages and a mani-pedi.
Yeah, my nails have just been not it. So I was like, do I have time to get my nails painted before Tess gets here? Because she had like an hour and a half drive up to Ubud from the airport. And Kory was like, yeah, let's do it. So we went, and like the ladies were like, no, can you actually do like half an hour later? And then we went. Kory ended up getting a massage, and they were telling me that my pedicure and classic manicure, like I wasn't getting anything fancy for a manicure, just like your traditional pedicure and just a basic manicure. They were like, that's going to be an hour and a half. And I was like, oh, I don't really have an hour and a half because we wanted to get back for Tess like before she got there. And they're like, no, like it is going to be an hour and a half. So Kory was like, okay, I'll get the 90-minute massage. Thank you. And so he got a 90-minute massage, and I got the most painful pedicure of my life. They were sticking like dental tools, like the scrapey dental tools, like around my nail and cuticle, and I kept like flinching and saying ow, and I don't normally do that. I try to be tough. And the lady was like, oh, sorry, ha, and kept doing it. And it was just traumatic, and my toe was bleeding. And she just kept dabbing the blood for like the whole entire pedicure. And finally she was like, okay, I'm done. And I looked down and there's no paint on my toes. And I was like, oh, are you gonna put polish on them? And she was like, oh my god. And she's like, that's like $100K extra, which is like a couple bucks. But
$7.
So I pick out a polish, and she like puts it on so bad, then she wipes it off, then she calls over her coworker, and her coworker has to like get settled and do my toenails. And then she starts doing my manicure. It turns out that's no polish too. And I would have got the polish, but they were going so slow that I was like, no way am I getting the polish. This is going to be an extra 45 minutes on top of how this is already over an hour and a half. So I just got no polish on my hands. But anyways, that was crazy, and Tess got there before us, which leads us into a funny story of what happened when she got there before us to the Airbnb.
Yeah. So first off, Maxie gave me instructions. She was like, just go up to the lady and she'll just let you in. So I did. And it wasn't the lady working, the main person. It was one of her workers, I guess. And I feel like majority of the people here don't have the best English.
Yeah.
Very bad, yeah.
Yeah, so there's already that language barrier kind of confusing people in this moment, but I ended up Google translating to him what I was trying to explain because he didn't really even understand, for the record, that I was
a guest.
A guest, and this Kory's here, but they're not here.
Yeah, because we got here the day before.
Yeah, you guys checked in and you were a resident in this Airbnb. But at the same time, the way this Airbnb is set up is that there's different
villas
in one area.
There's probably 5 different villas, or yeah.
So he understood that I basically just needed to be let into Kory King's villa, and he just let me in. So Maxie was like, "You're on the bottom floor." I walk into the room and there isn't anything there. So I didn't really assume anything, and it looked very similar to the video that Maxie sent me of my room. So I was like, okay, cool. And I dropped off my stuff and I just went for a walk and got food or something.
Yeah, and then getting back to that's when we got together with Tess. We went to a restaurant where all the workers here are so nice, and those people were extra nice.
That was a great warm welcome to my stay.
When we were coming back, we just started walking into the villa that Tess didn't put her stuff in.
Yeah, and Tess was like, "What do you mean? It's over here."
I was like, "So my stuff is in a different villa."
And it's kind of these villas, they're a little odd. Their front doors don't lock when you leave, so you can only lock it when you're home. So we're like, all right, maybe these people aren't home, and then we can just sneak in and sneak out like we did before. But
side note, you could lock your bedroom, but the entrance to the villa won't lock unless you're home.
The funny thing is that in this other villa, their doors were wide open to my room.
Wow.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
There was no one in there.
Yeah.
Huh.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then we're like, oh, what the heck's happening? We got to try and get Tess's stuff out of this other person's room. And so I think the worker or 2 workers just randomly walk up, and we try to start explaining to them. It probably takes too long. I mean, I guess it is a confusing situation if you're not an English speaker, saying oh, my stuff is in the wrong room, and they'll be like, what does that even mean?
Yeah. So, anyways, we had knocked and tried to ring the doorbell. Their doorbell wasn't working, and we were like, "Hello." I called the Airbnb host. She didn't pick up. I texted her, and then these guys, like Kory said, came, and they were so confused. Tess whipped out Google Translate again, I think, right?
Yeah.
And they
when in doubt, Google Translate it.
Yeah. And
but Google Translate failed the first time.
Yeah, that was anyways, we kept knocking, and these people were clearly inside.
Yeah.
Or outside, and
because it was locked, so they had to be inside. So we were just eventually we got to the point where no one was answering, and we just told the 2 guys hey, our stuff is in there. Can you just leave it in? Can you get it out eventually? And we kind of started going away until I walked back out, and there was a lady opening the door, and she was mad. She was I think she was Dutch, and she was just saying why is there a bag in my room? How did someone get into my house? This door was locked, but actually wasn't locked because they can't lock it. She was like, yeah, that's really unsafe. I contacted booking. I tried to contact the host. She wasn't getting mad at me because then I came to her and explained to the situation because those guys weren't obviously saying anything. She was like, oh, well, I told her, hey, these guys let my friend into your room thinking it was our room, And she was like, oh yeah, I don't care. Like I'm not mad at you at all, but I'm like mad at them, or it's frustrating. Like I have a young kid. This is like a safety concern. So eventually we got Tess's stuff, and I walked into the Airbnb, and like the husband was on like a Zoom call for work. So it was like definitely felt like I was in their space, and glad to get it sorted out. But it was just such a funny moment.
And
what an entrance.
Yeah, and my favorite part was seriously minutes before, when I was getting my pedicure, I was like complaining to Tess via text about how like no one understands me. It's like really hard to like order food. It's really hard to get my pedicure done. No one is understanding what I'm saying. This goes back to Kory saying I can't communicate with the locals. And Tess was like, don't worry, I got you. I'll whip out Google Translate, solves all my problems. And then like minutes later, Google Translate lands her in the wrong Airbnb.
Of course. It's a funny story, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Great way to start my trip with you guys.
We were all laughing so much about this. But Tess is only pure entertainment, so we have a few stories along this podcast.
Yeah, so the next thing, there was like this popular just like hiking trail in the middle of Ubud that is just like along a ridge. It's like called the Campuhan. I don't know how to pronounce anything here. But we needed scooters to get there, so we ended up renting scooters and sorting it all out. We lost Tess on the way there, but then we finally reunited and got to the hike. And the hike was nice. I'd say it was a nice way, simple, kind of basic.
A good place to like exercise, but it wasn't that like glamorous, I guess.
But the real fun came on the ride back, the scooter ride back to our Airbnb. It's really hard to stay together, like for two people on scooters to stay together. So we're like, all right, here's the address. We'll try and meet you there. But immediately we got separated.
Well, the first time we drove, because I'm Kory's passenger princess, the first time we didn't tell her the address, and we were just like, follow us, and it was very hard to stay together because it's chaos on the road. So the second time when we were going back to the Airbnb, we gave her the address. Or we told her to put it in. And what's your history with motor scooters? You rode them in Vietnam, right?
Yes, I do. So before I even get there, Maxie, you asked me, you're like, are you able to drive a motorbike? Like, what's your situation? And me just being me, I'm like, yeah, I can ride a motorbike. Like, I've ridden one before. I need to stop saying that for the record.
She was riding them in Vietnam, I guess.
Yeah, so I've ridden them before. I have somewhat of a history, but I haven't ridden one in so long that when I relearned, I did it in one of the worst places ever. So I figured that if I could do it, not even Bali, like in Sapa, Vietnam, which is like the most mountainous, ridiculous place to drive. And I firmly believed that if I could drive in Sapa, I could drive anywhere. Yeah. So I was pretty confident. I was really in this mindset. I was like, yeah, Bali's going to be a piece of cake. Yeah. So Bali was a little bit of a
Tell us about leaving this ridge walk, which was a very steep uphill.
Oh, man, okay. With my driving skills, I can do very fine on straight roads.
and also, before Tess gets into this, we forgot to tell Tess that they drive on the left side of the road.
Oh, yeah.
But she picked it up instantly. So there's another level of like...
so much newness to it.
There's like driving on the right is normal on a scooter. Or like still... But then bringing it all to the left side is just a complete mental task.
Okay, follow us. And she's like, why are they driving on the left?
Yeah, I firmly just got thrown into a lot of newness on the road. But, okay... I can drive a motorbike just like on a flat surface, no problem. That's a piece of cake, right? I have a really tough time going uphill and going around like I can turn it, no problem. But if you put those two things together, like a curve and an upwards hill, I let's just call it what it is, panic. So I like will go super slow. So that's where the real story comes in. But yeah, to backtrack, when I first got on the road, when I also didn't have an address, that was a lot because I knew that they drive on the left side of the road because I got driven to Ubud in my Grab. But yeah, I just kind of was like, here we go. Let's just figure it out as we take on the roads. And on the way back, we left this waterfall or hike or whatever it was and immediately got separated. So, which I think I was okay with because I knew where I was going and I was like, I'm just going to go super slow.
It was also rush hour, so extra people on the road.
Yeah. That's partially the problem here, especially with the left and the right side of the road. I'm still trying to adjust to turning right because I have to turn across the traffic. And with the traffic being so crazy, it's just rough.
It's hectic, yeah. So, driving is not an easy task here.
Okay, so now that we have the context, let's actually go into what happened. So there was this really steep hill, and Maxie and Kory are just very much so gone. And it's rush hour. I'm turning this corner as this steep hill is approaching. So there's people on the other side of the road driving downwards. And naturally, I don't want to hit them because I have a problem also with parking my car because I don't know how to drive too slow. So I'll just run
speeds are the hardest with the scooters just because that's when you have least control. So
yeah, so it was either I go too fast and accidentally hit the upcoming traffic, or basically go slower, and you can't go slow going uphill. You have to riv it, and of course I just don't. So basically what happens, I'm halfway up this hill and my bike is just not going fast enough. So I just kind of start tipping over and I just let myself. So I put on my brakes so I'm not sliding down the hill, and I just literally let this bike just kind of lean over, and I'm just leaning against this sidewall because there's no side streets either. And I'm holding my bike tilted against the ground, just looking around, and all of these Balinese people are just watching me pulled over and literally just come to the rescue. So I'm just looking around, and then they come over. They take the key out.
They hop off their own bicycles.
Yeah, they hop off their own bikes. They pick up my bike. One of the guys jumps onto my bike and has me sit in the back and drives me up this hill. Basically knowing that I'm not going to be able to drive the rest of this hill. So he drives me up this hill while the person on his bike is holding their bike down. And we get up to the top of the hill. He literally just gets off and then puts me back into my seat and then says, "Okay, bye, see you later, that's it."
I know, that is hilarious.
That is the most funny, cultural, welcome to our island experience.
Yeah. And, with tourism being so popular, it's so well known that, there's so many motorbikes in Southeast Asia and different areas because a lot of tourists use them. So it's a pretty common thing to see someone that's not from here struggling with a motorbike. So they were yeah, you need help. Let's just do our due diligence and help you.
It was so sweet.
But honestly, getting back, that was one of the hardest motor scooter rides I've had to do. So props to Tess for actually making it back. Because when Maxie and I got back, we were oh my God, Tess is going to be gone for an hour.
I was texting her. I was park the bike on the side of the road. We'll either come get you or you can grab, which is their Uber, grab back to our Airbnb, just ditch it. We'll get it later. Because
I was damn, that was hard for me. That was a hard ride. You had to be really focused and it's a workout just driving on these streets and trying to stay with the flow of the chaos. But Tess made it back literally 3 minutes behind us.
3 minutes later, she showed up and we were "Oh my gosh, good job, Tess." And she was
It wasn't that. Yeah, then she told us that.
It was to be fair, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't I just made it back. There was some
chaos.
There was a little bit of chaos. But to be fair, I also needed some practice. I needed some getting used to it. And I definitely got used to it after a bit.
Yeah, you're so good.
And it was getting dark at that point too, so
Yeah,
it was, and so many drivers on the road.
yeah.
I mean, I'm very impressed with Tess because I haven't done it, and I would be very scared to do what she did. So a little bit of a round of applause.
thanks guys. I will say, on the first day, every single time I got on that bike, I did give myself a nice little internal pep talk.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, like the last day of us riding motorbikes, I definitely felt a little bit more confident in my driving.
Yeah.
I still don't think I will be riding a motorbike anytime soon. Just because I want to, but like when I have to, I can do it.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that we took a taxi to dinner
Yeah.
that night. Didn't we?
Yeah, we did take a taxi.
Okay.
Yes, we sure did.
And we found a nice vegan place called the Seeds of Life.
Yeah, there are so many like
vegan gluten-free.
Yeah.
Vegan, gluten-free, and
Raw. Which I didn't really realize that raw meant like uncooked. I knew that, but like
I didn't know that.
the concept of just like a raw meal means a cold meal. So I ordered a calzone, which is crazy, but like they weren't saying cheese was going to be in it. It was just like a different concept.
And gluten-free calzone too.
Gluten-free, yeah. So it like was this cold, I don't even know what it was made out of, but it was actually delicious. The coldness surprised me, but I would go back there for dinner like all the time.
Yeah, that place was delicious.
Yeah. We went back the next day.
Yeah, we did go back.
We did go back.
No, it was so good. You guys should check out some raw meals with living food. I think that's the concept, is like the food is alive and not like cooked at all, and it's healthy.
Yeah, it's funny, and Marcello knew the place too.
Yeah, I was talking to Marcello, and he was like, "Get the gnocchi."
Which is funny because when we were there, we kept saying, we're like, this is totally Marcello's vibe. Like,
we sat on the pillows on the ground at a low table, which happened to be on a raised surface. So it was just like a vibe.
Yeah, it was cute.
It was a great vibe, and that vibe kind of led us into the next morning where we went to the yoga barn.
Yeah.
I would describe this place as like literally the most professional, or just like the highest built up yoga studio maybe in the world. I don't know. It's the nicest yoga studio I've ever been to. I counted I think 12 different studios on their like yoga campus. It was like basically the NBA of yoga, I think.
Yeah, it was like Tess kept calling it a farm for
I
yoga,
don't know why, but
which makes so much sense. It's like literally a plot of land,
complex,
with like a bunch of different buildings that are so hippie, vibey, love, pure energy. Like it was just amazing there.
Yeah, and we went to, what did you guys think of the yoga class? We had a Jamaican instructor.
I think it was exactly what we all needed. I think we agreed on that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It was a morning flow.
And I liked how the Jamaican instructor kept saying, like, "It is not going to kill you, man."
Yeah, he was making
a lot of
jokes.
You will not die.
Yeah, you will not die.
Don't worry, you will not die.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then after that, we took a little stroll over to the Monkies. What do we think of the Monkies, everybody?
The sacred monkey forest.
Yes, this place is iconic.
Yeah, I've been waiting a long time to go there, and we were like, let's go with Tess. So, Tess, what was your thoughts on it?
Man, it was really big, and there was monkeys everywhere.
It's right in the middle of the city of Ubud, by the way.
Yeah, and I think there's like 1,200 monkeys there.
And they like leave the monkey forest if they want to. Like you'll see them on the streets around the monkey forest.
Yeah. It was interesting. I didn't really have many expectations going into it, but thinking about what I feel like they were saying that these monkeys were these ones the more aggressive ones or the less aggressive ones?
Later, I think
the driver said that you don't need to worry about these ones as much as the ones in Uluwatu.
But I did see online, like I saw an Instagram reel of like someone trying to promote another monkey forest, and they were like, "Oh yeah, the monkeys in Ubud are like will steal your stuff.
Yeah.
But the monkeys up here you can like hold and take selfies with and stuff."
They're a little aggressive, I would say.
Yeah, they were a little aggressive.
So as soon as you enter, I was like, this feels very signs, like there's no instructions here, and I know people get bit. Like I know multiple people who have gotten bit here by monkeys. Shout out to Chris and Hansen. So and we've all seen the videos online. So I was like, we walked in, we made it like pretty far, and I was like, there's been no instructions or waivers or what is going on in this place. And then finally we hit an instruction sign, and it basically, the one big rule is do not look monkeys in the eye. So Kory's grand mission here was to look every monkey in the eye.
It was just like a dominance thing. Like, if little monkey sees me as big monkey and I look at him in the eyes, he should know that I am alpha monkey.
Yeah, but they see it as a sign of aggression if you make eye contact, and they'll like show their teeth and hiss and like jump at you and try to bite you or bite you.
Yeah.
Kory also wanted some action this whole time.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to see like them attack a tourist or like them steal some stuff, because that's like the entertainment in these places, you know, like just a clueless tourist just walking around, and then finally at the end we got some action.
Yeah.
There was
there was this like tourist trying to get close to the monkey, basically.
I think she was not, I don't even think she was doing it. I think she was just not paying attention and sitting down, and then a monkey came down from the tree. She had
got
this
nervous and like ran away.
Yeah, she ran away without her purse.
Yeah.
Her big tote bag.
Yeah, her big tote bag she left there, and then the monkey just starts getting in the tote bag, trying to dig out any food that's in there.
He pulled out like her prescription bag from like a pharmacy, and he was like shaking it, and he was looking for other things.
And this was after like walking around, like sometimes the monkeys like jump on you and trying to get in your bag, and then one of the monkey, what do you call them, like the guys who were around there, yeah.
Security.
The monkey security, yeah. They just come over there and like yell at the monkey and then just say, go away.
Just keep walking, just keep walking.
Yeah, we saw some people get mounted by little baby monkeys, and they're like, just keep walking.
Yeah.
Keep walking, keep walking.
If you keep walking, then basically the monkey will just like walk away, yeah.
And so I was like, oh, this has been done these monkey security guys are like not that threatening, and they don't really say much. So I was like, oh, this has been going on for too long. I'll try and go up to the monkey and shoo it away. And then I went up to the monkey and tried to shoo it away, and it like hissed its teeth at me and tried to grab me. It definitely startled me a little bit.
It grabbed your pants, right?
Yeah, like
he
like punched my leg kinda and was like, "Get out of here." And then I was like, "All right, you can have the purse, monkey." But I really thought if I went up to the monkey and just was like, "Go," the monkey would be like, "Okay," but
turns out he's the alpha.
Yeah.
But that lady's husband was not even helping. He was just like, "Oh, okay."
We all just were like watching.
Yeah.
It just like drew a crowd of people and no one was doing anything. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll try and help. And then immediately after me, the monkey security guy just yelled at the monkey and it ran away.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe the monkey security know the monkeys and they know those people are different.
They probably beat them.
Yeah, probably.
No, I'm kidding. Hopefully not.
They do. We were saying this in the beginning. They do all have numbers on them.
Oh, yeah.
Which I couldn't really tell what they used for that, but I didn't really love that.
Yeah.
Because it looks like, it wasn't like ingrained, but it looks like it like was branded in some kinds, which I do understand there is a degree of you need to be able to keep track of the animals, but yeah, I didn't like that. I don't think there was
many research scientists going in there and saying, oh, monkey number 272 is growing at a weird rate or something. I think
it didn't look professional at all. It kind of looked like spray paint, but it might have been like a brand.
Yeah, it was like weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the next spot we went to after the monkey we walked around town a little bit, explored Ubud, and that was nice. People trying to sell you things left and right. But the next big thing we did was the waterfall. The waterfall I don't know how to pronounce. Taygeunungan
Waterfall. I think it's the most famous one in Ubud. This land is abundant in waterfalls.
Yeah.
But this one was pretty cool. They just build up everything that's beautiful from Mother Nature. They build it up and they add a beach club and restaurants and cafes and like entrance fees and parking fees and everything. Photo op fees.
So, yeah, this is like the place to take a beautiful natural thing and turn it into
a tourist attraction.
And like a resort. I feel like Bali in general really gives that resort like energy where there was this beautiful waterfall and we were enjoying it for like what it is, but then next to us you could pay for this huge infinity pool that overlooks it with this big club resort.
With a live DJ.
Or there's like, of course, the swings where you can pay to swing over with the waterfall in the background for like a picture op. There was a lot of that we were just kind of like dodging.
Tess and I did a little dunk in the waterfall.
Oh yes.
Kory came up to his knees maybe, but he was like, this water is disgusting, I'm not letting it touch my bathing suit.
No, I just didn't want to get wet and ride the scooter back, but
honestly, I don't know, maybe I just haven't seen enough waterfalls. I think I have, but the water in the waterfalls in Bali are a little murky. Like it's not like fresh, clear looking water running.
I guess I haven't seen enough waterfalls close up like that one in Bali yet to put too much of an opinion, but I definitely think that one was a little bit more murky. But to be fair, there's so many people there. Like that, like there was so many people there. So with the amount of traffic that waterfall gets, it almost doesn't surprise me that the water was a little gross.
Yeah. Makes sense. But you could think they're like up the river. That like you can't. I don't know.
It was still gross at that low key one that we went to.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
that one was a lot
I've read some things where like the amount of rainfall can affect like how clear the water is, and like if it's rained in the past couple weeks, the waterfalls will be gross and like murky because all the runoff. So maybe it was just like we got the waterfalls at a bad time, and maybe they're much cleaner at other times.
Yeah.
The waterfall itself was beautiful.
Oh,
it was just like the surrounding water.
Yeah.
But that was also where that part was gross, and that was also where we were all swimming, which was the thing.
Yeah. But anyways.
So you want to go into, there was a bunch of chain events that happened that night.
Well, even before that, I feel like traveling is just like one big flow of spirit. And like Kory in Canggu, he was like, let's go to this random coffee shop. And that's where we met that cool guy that we talked about on the last podcast. He told us to go to dinner at a certain cool spot. We went there. We met these cool Singaporean guys that we told you about in the podcast. They told me on Instagram to go to a certain restaurant in Ubud. And he was telling me this. I didn't even ask him. He's telling me as we're trying to figure out where we're going to dinner. So we end up going exactly where he told us to go, and that leads us like 200 feet away from a vegan coconut ice cream shop that Kory like remembered from driving by earlier. So he was like, it was more than 200 feet. We couldn't see it for a while as we were walking up the street. But Kory was like,
10-minute walk.
Kory was like, I'm following the vibes. I know it's up here. I remember it. Like, I'm following the vibes. And we all had to follow Kory. No GPS. And he's like, I swear it's up here. I'm following the vibes. And he was just like crossing the street mindlessly in the traffic. And we're like, oh, it's on the other side apparently. The vibes are on the other side. So he followed the vibes to this ice cream shop. And at this point, like, I'm not feeling well from just, like,
You were struggling the whole night.
Yeah.
Too many fragrances.
Yeah, I was sensitive to fragrance. I was stuffed. Felt like I had a headache from before dinner. I was just getting through it, but I was going to support the vegan ice cream venture for my friends. And what happened
and the
when we
vibes
got
that
there?
we just followed?
Yes.
Yeah, so we decided to sit down and eat our coconut ice cream, which was really good. And we sat at this, like, communal table, I guess we can call it. There was this mom and daughter talking to this guy in this open area, and we sat on the other side just, like, joining in. And naturally in those situations, it's really easy to eavesdrop and almost just jump into the conversation, which is what we ended up doing. And we met...
was like, so sorry
Go
to interrupt.
ahead.
Side note, Tess and I are really into like dowsing with pendulums, and we talk about it a lot, and I saw that this man was dowsing, and I was like, Tess, look, he's dowsing. And then Tess is more confident than me, so she like very politely got us into the conversation with him.
I don't even know. I just like naturally I'm just like, wait, I gotta know what's going on over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up having this like huge conversation with him with what he's working on. His name is Ron the Healer.
Ron the Healer.
And basically he does like energy work and
emotion release.
Yes.
Healing.
Yeah, and the pendulum specifically was to show what energy level you were at. So he was basically doing a little bit of his work for free just to kind of spread the wisdom, which was really nice. And for me, I'm just personally so fascinated with that whole subject. So I just kept asking questions. And the more questions I asked, the more he gave us. So he told me, he was like, well, I can tell you if you want to know where your energy is stored, all you have to do is tell me that you want that and give me that permission. So I'm like, you're permitted, tell me. And he was like, okay, on your right shoulder this, on this, on your left shoulder that, do you want me to just release it? He comes over there and he's like twisting my arm, and then he lets go, and I don't even know how to describe what my arms felt like, but it literally felt like I could like just like flap my arms and like fly. Like my arms were so light and weightless. It was just like such a big release.
I was literally crying off to the side because we're not gonna get too detailed, but like he was coming across as psychic because he was saying very specific things, and it's because his pendulum is like very definitive. Like he is so connected to it that it like will give him such a strong answer about someone.
His energy will like pinpoint what's going on.
So like he was saying things to Tess that she was like, yes, 100%. That's facts.
What I'm going through, like that's emotionally what I know is happening.
Yeah, and I was actually tearing up because I was getting moved by watching this all unfold, and the woman across the table who was already working with him was like crying too, and we were all loving this. So it
was such a communal way. Like we were talking about like very personal things, and it was just such a communal way to be like, this is real. This is such a real, energetic experience.
Yeah, and so he ended up helping Kory too.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, this is awesome, this is awesome, this is awesome. But like, Tess and Kory got actual like free work from him, basically.
Yeah, he did a little bit. My shoulder's been an issue for a while. And he was like, yeah. He worked in like the sports therapy industry for years, and like I worked with a guy who's trained 10,000 athletes. They're professional athletes or something like that. So he was like, oh yeah, I could tell you're an athlete. I don't know if he said that, but he definitely. That's what I heard in my head. So he loosened my shoulder up a little bit, and yeah, it felt good. And we all ended up actually booking sessions with him for the next day.
Yeah, that was like a big highlight. But it's funny because we wanted to go to bed early that night because we had to get up at 2 a.m. to get picked up at 2:20 a.m. for a tour. So we're like, let's get an early dinner. Let's go to sleep early. We end up having a regular time dinner and going to this ice cream shop and like staying for
so long,
a very long time, getting healed for free.
Almost didn't stay too. We
were gonna get takeout.
Yeah, we were gonna get it takeout, and the only reason, mind you, that we did was because the lady asked us, and we didn't want to stand outside waiting for the grab, so we said we were just gonna sit down while we waited to order to the grab and just eat it there, and that's when we met him. I don't know. I'm just really, really big on everything happens for a reason. And everything was just so aligned perfectly for us to meet him. Mm-hmm. I firmly believe that if we didn't even meet him in that moment, we probably would have still met him like another time. Yeah. Because I had a friend that just recommended me this coffee shop, Suka. And when he was telling us where he operated out of, he was like, it's right next to Suka. I was like, I literally was just told that.
Literally, no, he said we meet at Suka first.
Yeah.
It was so in alignment.
Yeah.
Oh, and I don't mean to say he didn't give me anything for free the first night. Like, he did. He read my, like, vibration, and he told me about my karma, which was so cool. And then, luckily, he unfolded everything out in long form for our sessions.
Yeah.
And that was...
But anyways, should we go quickly into, like, why we got up at 2 in the morning?
Yeah.
You tell us, Tess.
So we hiked a volcano at 2 in the morning.
Mount Batur.
Yeah, I still don't necessarily know all of the details because Maxie was like, we're doing this cool thing, and it's just going to be on this day. And I was like, what is it? And she's like, do you want to know or do you want to be surprised? And I was like, I'll be surprised. It's fine. But so I didn't like fully know what we were doing that day, but we hiked a volcano, Mount Batur, And basically, the reason why we had to be up at 2 a.m. was because we were doing it for the sunrise.
Yeah.
So, 2 a.m. wake up time. We started hiking roughly around like 4 a.m., 4:30 maybe?
Yeah, probably 4:30.
4:30?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was probably like an hour and a half hike, and I think we got up at 5:30.
It was an easier hike than I expected as well.
Yeah,
Like,
it was a lot easier. A lot sandier than
It was
I expected.
it was sandy.
that was the hardest part.
Yeah, that was where it was a little slip and slidey here and there.
A lot
But
of sand.
my personal experience. Okay, let's talk about just how I am as a human being on tours like this. I love the locals. I love like groups travel like this. So it's 4 a.m. There's no reason for me to be as awake as I am. Like I'm running on a few hours of sleep here, but I don't know. I love learning the language and I love like vibing out with the locals. So the whole time I just really put it into my brain that I was going to learn all of their Balinese verbiage. So
Tess was taking a Duolingo class at like 4 a.m. from
Yeah,
the
basically.
local. It was so funny though, because I feel like you've said this before, how like people don't try to speak the language.
Yeah.
And Indonesian is actually, we learned, is different than Balinese, and I think Balinese, like, people are like, oh wow, you speak Balinese, like you're saying thank you in Balinese and not Indonesian. That's like
They love
more,
it.
that's
like
more,
extra bonus points.
They're
like so many
honored.
smiles came
Yeah.
from then, and it was just good vibes going up the mountain. Like there was some spots where like if people were tired, they had dirt bikes and you could pay one of the dirt bike taxis to bring you up to the top. And Tess would just say like "Good morning" in Balinese, and then be like, "Oh, you know Balinese, yeah."
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah, they would be so surprised too. Or there was a few times I was even asked like, "How did you learn that?"
Yeah, they were like, "Are you Balinese?"
Yeah, I was like, "Do I look Balinese?"
And Kory and I had like been trying to use these same phrases, but like Tess is like really good at it, where she remembers these complicated sentences that like mean good morning and good evening.
Selamat pagi.
Yeah, like I don't know, those words are hard to remember. I have to like write it down with my pencil to remember it.
Yeah.
So like her repeating it at 3:30 in the morning over and over, like we learned so many words. Now I know Indonesian, I know Balinese.
Yeah, it's funny because something that I have been doing throughout my travels, I did this in Vietnam too, is I will do Duolingo on my phone for the language. So just so I can kind of figure out ways to integrate that language as much as possible. So Balinese isn't a thing on Duolingo, it's just Indonesian. So I've been trying to do that already. And since Balinese is its own thing, I just kept, I had a little bit of an understanding, which helped balance that.
True.
But I really did. I think what helped me was just repeating it over and over, and they would repeat it back. Like,
Loved it.
There was our main tour guide, and then there was this little
Nyoman.
boy.
Nyoman.
And then the little boy.
Johnish.
Which I don't necessarily know, but why they had like little boys join this hike, but there was like little kids everywhere, like one per group.
Yeah, our group was a nice group of 5, so it was Kory, Tess, myself, Izzy and Terri.
Yes.
Which were girls from Australia.
And I swear to you, this little boy and I, we were like at the back of the group as everyone was like in front of us, and we just kept going back and forth like, Begus? You Begus? You Begus? I Begus. Like, and Begus means good. So he would just be asking me, because his English was really low.
Yeah.
He's like, you good? And I'm like, I'm good. Are you good? And we just kept saying, like, Begus is like ingrained in my memory.
When he was walking with me, I was in front of everyone, and it was like kind of in the beginning as well, and I was like several meters in front of everyone, and he kept asking me every 30 seconds, are you tired? Are you tired? Are you tired? And I would like laugh because, dude, like I'm the first one in this group up this hill. We just started.
Yeah.
I'm not like, and like you don't have to ask every 30 seconds.
It's funnier because you know that he's just trying to have a conversation, but he doesn't know.
That was like his only fluent sentence.
Yeah, because on a hike, theoretically speaking, most people that he sees would get tired eventually. So he's like, this is a phrase that might actually come in handy, so I'm just going to say it.
Definitely.
And
it was cute.
He didn't fully understand it because we would ask him back, like, are you tired? And he would say, yeah. Wait, no.
Yes, he didn't understand it when we asked him. And then we thought that the tour guide was his dad, but it wasn't. It's funny because the tour guide's name was Nyoman.
Yeah.
And I kept calling him Norman. I thought he like gave himself an English name, and then he wrote it down for me later for me to write him his name in a review, and it was not Norman.
Yeah. Oh, the hike was great though.
Yeah. We had like good like language too with what we learned. Like the vibes were so high because we were like Mari, which is let's go. We would just be like Mari, like let's go. I don't know. We kept the vibes super high.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it was great. Group. The sunrise was really cool and pretty, and it was more people up there than I expected. But there was like stadium seating at the top, and it was pretty neat how they.
Don't picture a stadium, guys. It's very third world.
Yeah, it was like. It was like a dozen rows of like
wood
benches with no backs.
Yeah.
But they were like, oh, this volcano's still active, so they like messed around and like showed where like there was like thermal pockets and heat coming out, and they were like, look, we're gonna cook your eggs or hard boiled eggs in the heat.
Yeah, that's
the steam,
so cool.
Which was really neat to do, and they're like, oh, we'll make you cooked banana sandwiches, which were
interesting,
weird to say the least.
Oh, really? I thought you guys loved them.
I liked them, but they just...
It was just mashed banana in a sandwich.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or with white bread.
Strange.
Yeah. It was definitely interesting. And, yeah, it was a beautiful sunrise. Definitely something special about watching the sunrise on top of a hill. And, I loved it. I'm really happy that we did it.
Yeah, once we got up there, I will say, though, and I think Kory suffered the most.
So cold.
But I struggle with my temperature, so I struggled quite a bit, too. It was freezing.
Yeah.
It was freezing.
They got us up there too early.
Yeah, we were up there for like an hour before the sun even poked through.
Yeah.
The second they were like, you can go see the steam over here, we like sprint. I was like, I'm gonna stay here forever.
But that was a double-edged sword because we stood in like this hot steam. It was actually like a steam room, and it made us wet. And then we walked out of the steam, and we were again freezing cold from the wetness.
And colder, honestly.
Yeah, colder.
That was a little rough for a second, but the view was worth it. It was so pretty.
It was beautiful with the clouds and the other mountains.
Yeah, and it was a slippy hike back down, and
sure was.
Then we got to go to hot springs after.
I'm obsessed with the Batur town that looks at this other volcano mountain, and there's this beautiful lake, and I swear, at least in the morning, it's giving Lake Como vibes, like those iconic Instagram photos of Lake Como. Picture that in Bali. Yeah. It was beautiful.
It was a really, really nice spot.
Like, I would go back there just because it was such a view for me.
Yeah.
But anyways, talk about the hot springs.
Oh, the hot springs were chill. I mean, when I think of hot spring, I think of just like a small hole in the ground, and it's like the size of a hot tub, and it's just a natural pool of water. These guys just like rerouted the hot spring into like 12 different pools, and the pools were cascading into each other, and they're like pouring hot water in them from like these fountains of like
spitting fish
and just like other Balinese Hindu figures that were like spitting out water fountains. So it was a very, very beautiful place, but not kind of what I think of when I think of like, because they were promoting it as natural hot spring. So when I think of that, it's just like a hole in the ground, not a built up resort, but nonetheless, the resort was amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's similar to what we said before. It feels like it was a resort. Like they turned it into a resort-esque experience.
Like they found those natural hot springs, and they're like, how can we make more money off this, or make it more Instagram aesthetically pleasing?
Yeah, which I will say, it was kind of the perfect place to go after being freezing on top of that volcano and waking up at 2 a.m. Like being in that hot spring and just like in the warm water with like the water flowing. I literally think I could have slept there. It was so peaceful. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But
it was really nice.
Yeah, and then after that, I completely forgot after that we had like this coffee plantation tour.
Oh yeah.
I think we explained it a little bit in the last episode. about the luwak coffee and how the luwaks are animals that go and they collect or they eat the material around the coffee bean, and they only pick the best beans, and then the farmers would go and collect their digested poop, which is everything but the coffee beans. And so that's what, and then they take that coffee, coffee beans.
It's just coffee beans, like, stuck together, I think.
Yeah, the poop is just coffee beans stuck together, and then that's what the luwak coffee is brewed with, because those beans have been processed more, and they're the good beans or whatever, and then that's what makes the coffee. So we had a plantation tour, which wasn't really a plantation, it was just like their shop, but it was cool to see.
Yeah, I liked being able to see the process.
I think I heard our doorbell ringing.
Let's just see if she
Comes up.
Anyways,
I'm gonna go check quick.
Kory's gonna go check. Bring the credit card. I think she wants us to pay. We rented motor scooters from our Airbnb host, and we told her we were leaving around 8, and it's 8:43. So I think she's like wants our money. Anyways, which is fine, but we're still here. Anyways, so
waiting to do the podcast to the very last minute.
Yes, exactly. But the coffee plantation was awesome, and we did a flight tasting of like different coffees they offer and teas. And we got to bond with our 2 friends from Melbourne, Australia. That was on our tour. And it was a nice surprise because we all forgot about the coffee part of the tour.
Yeah, it definitely like woke us up too, because you're having these little tastings of, what was it, like 20 different types of coffees and teas and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and we were like sipping on each one really quickly. So we were consuming so much caffeine in a very short period of time. I felt so alert after that, which on the ride to the plantation, I was like sleeping. So it was a nice little pick me up, especially with the 2 a.m. wake up time. But
it's a good thing to pair with the sunrise hike for sure.
Yeah, they did a good job with the whole setup of the 2 a.m. wake up time for the hike, the hot spring, and then ending with coffee.
Yeah, I've never gotten up that early for an event like that. But anyways, we had to save our energy. I think we took like micro naps, but we had to save our energy because we actually got to meet with Ron.
Yes.
So he met us at that coffee shop that Tess mentioned, Suka Espresso, and then he hung out with us for a little bit, I think because he was relaxing after having a few sessions in the morning with other people, the ladies that we met, the ice cream shop. And then we went back to like where he does his meetings, because he doesn't even live in Bali, he lives in Jakarta. So we went to like this other private area outside, and I went first.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know what to say. It was just so amazing. He kind of like identifies emotions that you're storing. So like maybe you're dealing with something in the present day, and you're like, oh yeah, like maybe my feeling would be, I'm just gonna give an example, like anger. And he like pulls out something different. He's like, no, this is like really deep, this is like anxiety. And he pulls that out and he clears it from your body. And like he says like, okay, once it's cleared, like it's not there anymore, like you are not anxious anymore. So like I am really cool, calm and collected. I feel really good after he cleared these like emotions that I didn't even realize I was having. And I truly do feel like he made a difference. And we talked a little bit about like my karmic journey from like different lives, which was like really fulfilling for me to like kind of see like things in a full circle way. And I think he really like helped me in ways I didn't even expect. So he's like such a good person. I want like other people to hire him remotely. He's like the Scottish man with tattoos and like necklaces and bracelets, and he's just such a good person.
You could tell he's in it for like the love of like healing the world rather than just money or what everyone else is trying to sell here. Like with tourism being so high, everyone's trying to sell you on their tour, their work of some kind. And we just like organically stumbled upon him and had a beautiful conversation with him that led to
him giving us free work,
free and then like this spiritual experience, I would call it.
And I don't think I would have done something like that if like Maxie found it online and was like, "Oh, I'm going to this healer. Do you want to come?" But since it was just such an organic experience of meeting him and just like, this is kind of what Ubud is about, just like these spiritual energy people. So yeah, I enjoyed my session with him, and I definitely wouldn't have done it if I didn't like meet him in the way we did. Yeah,
I love him.
It's very eye-opening too, and leaves you kind of with this window of things to work on for yourself and like figure out for yourself. So it's nice because there's a lot of like, Maxie, for you talked about a lot of past stuff. For me, a lot of it was present, but like past and present things were worked on. But he doesn't just like clear it and say, all right, like figure it out. He leaves us with a lot of resources for the future and kind of how to take all of this wisdom that we've just gained in this session and actually use it for the person that we're becoming, which I thought was really beautiful.
Yeah. Any takeaways?
No, I really enjoyed it. I happy we did it.
Yeah, I feel lighter as a bird, as Tess was kind of saying from her first experience with him.
Yeah, and that was kind of where we left off. I think.
Then we got a good night's rest finally.
Finally, good night's rest, and now Maxie and I are off to Laban Baja.
Yes.
And that's right next to the Komodo Islands. And Tess what's your plan, Tess?
I am spending one more night in Ubud, and that's the fun part. I don't know where yet. So I've been like solo backpacking for a bit now, and the greatest piece of advice for anyone that ever wants a solo backpack is literally don't have a plan and just show up and, follow the vibes. So I am planning on going to this recommended, it's a hostel, but it's more of a retreat. It's like a wellness retreat, and it's this like all female yoga heavy based place where
sounds cool.
It's gonna be very rejuvenating, and theoretically I'll probably meet some people that I decide to link up with and kind of travel from there. But I'm here for probably a weekish left, and then I go home, which is crazy. I know I'm like on the end of my journey, but I'm in the more so vacation part of my travels rather than just adventure travels. So I'm looking forward to meeting some people in hostels and doing the bare minimum and swimming like a fish and tanning on a beach and slowing down a bit.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this week. We really appreciate you, and thank you, Tess, for coming to Bali.
Thank you, Tess. It's been perfect meeting you here in this spiritual place of Ubud, of all places.
Yes. I'm so happy I got to see you guys.
Life-changing. We love you. And thank you, listeners. We love you.
And we hope you have a good day.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.